In my opinion, lighting is half of the experience of being in a nightclub. Music is the first half, and lighting is the second half. You can't create a really good mood without great music and great lighting. I'm always adamant when I get to any kind of club on the weekends to make sure they have good lighting. Most importantly, they have to have a good guy running the lights. You can have great lights, but if the guy's in the bathroom or if he's getting a drink, then it's going to mess up your set and it's going to kill the vibe of the club. So lighting is super, super, super important.
I have to ask you, in the house music experience, the lighting really enhances the experience. What does the lighting do for someone that's at a party, a Justin Sheppard party?
As soon as the light hits, that's what makes you go crazy, and that's the biggest part of any club in anywhere, period, is the lights.
So in other words, club owners, get your light gear on and your DJ on, and the party rocks.
I really am a firm believer that lighting can make or break a night, a great night in the club or a great performance. Because the fact is, like when you're dealing with a party and with a huge group of people, you're able to affect more senses at once, which ends up to be a way more profound experience. I've played amazing parties in amazing clubs, and if the light guy is crap, it doesn't matter how good I'm doing. There's something that doesn't feel right about the night. And there's other parties I've done where there's a guy that literally is a musician in his own way, like a really, really good lighting guy, or like an LD will sit there and he's reading the music and he's literally playing the music for your eyes. Like he's making something happen that you can't really put your finger on it why something else feels right. But when somebody, when there's a moment that happens sonically and your entire body, goes through something, and at the same time, your lights are stimulated with the same exact kind of emotion, it's this full body thing that happens, and it's just absolutely critical to the whole experience. And the only thing that's going to get better is if there's ever like a smell jockey that actually does, which I actually encountered last year when I played a party in Brazil, and there was actually like a guy that worked with scents, and he had all these fans and all these like little beakers and stuff, and he would try to like affect you like emotionally and just add this other sense, But when you think about being on the floor, you're being stimulated with your hearing, you're being stimulated with the vibrations and with touch and with people around you, and the visual thing kicking in, really, really good lighting and really good things like when it all gels together, that's what makes that amazing experience on the dance floor.
As I've got a good friend named Richie who's the lighting director at Avalon, and I was playing Avalon a couple of weeks ago, and I was really reminded of how important the interaction to what I'm playing is, bringing to life what's happening when he knows the records and he can follow what I'm doing, and I just start sensing these cues happening off of, like if I was starting to scratch a little bit, he would be hitting my scratch cues. And I looked up and it really, really connected the entire thing to make it a full experience. So for me, it's real important.
I think the lighting is the visual aspect to the audio journey that you're being taken on, and without it, it's just it's great to have the music, but the lighting gives it that extra dimension, and it's hugely important. I mean, look at what Lady Gaga does. Look at any show that is fantastic, from U2 to any DJ show. It's a huge part of it, and if you have the budget, absolutely do it. And we love your lights.
So we obviously know that audio is very important to your tour, to your shows. How does lighting affect the journey that you take your audience on?
With electronic music, it's always been super important because at the end of the day, I'm up there and I'm doing things with my hands and I'm manipulating and doing a lot of sound design and mixing, but it's not a band, So there's always been like this gap for electronic musicians, like how do we display our music in a way that's appropriate and kind of puts this gap. There's a performance gap that that bands always had that we could never cross, and I don't know who figured this out first, but many years ago somebody was like, sound and lights are going to be really important in the presentation of this music, And I mean, it's paramount. If the lighting's not right in one of my performances, it affects the vibe of the club or the Coliseum, whatever room I'm playing. And I learned this early on in my career, and when I stepped back for this Freaks of Nature tour, the role of the lighting and the visual content was, I mean, it's music first and lights second. I mean, if these things go hand in hand, and if the lights aren't there to set the vibe, then there's going to be a problem. It's not going to be a good execution of the show.
For the EDM dance world, lighting is a huge component to the show. I just did a 60-day bus tour, and I brought 10 people on the road with me just to do my stage. 2 guys were doing the lights. So it's like I really put a lot of emphasis on the lights and the visuals. You know, it's like you're not only telling a musical story, you're telling a visual one when you go to a show. You're really bringing together more than just you're experiencing music, and by experiencing music, you're seeing it, you're hearing it, you're being a part of it.